Hello everyone, it's Andrew from Gem TCG, and in today's video I'm going to be talking about something that really bothers me when it comes to eBay sellers. And I know the title of this is a little bit strong, but as a seller myself, it's something that bothers me. And not just because I'm a seller, but also because I've been trying to give this advice for so long. And obviously it's not going to convince every single person, but I really wish the narrative would change a little bit on this, because I think it's having a bigger problem than it should. And it's related to the concept of feedback as a seller. And this can be applied to both eBay and TCG player sellers, like any sellers on any platform. But I'm going to be focusing mainly on eBay and maybe a little bit on TCG player. And it's the fact that so many people are worried about this 100% positive feedback rating. And there's a new thing with eBay where if someone opens a claim or they return something to you and you offer free returns and then you refund them, they could still give you negative feedback now. And this used to not be a thing because eBay just didn't. eBay had some things set in place, so if you refund them, they can still, or they can't give you a negative feedback. And this saved a lot of sellers from getting negative feedback on their stores. And it's something that, in my opinion, I think it shouldn't have been a thing anyways. I think if you do a bad service, even if you make things right, they should still be able to give you negative feedback. And not because I think, oh, you shouldn't have to make things right, or the seller should have less power in a situation like that. But it's more so of the culture it gives to the buyers. And I already know people are going to complain about this statement I'm making. But if you think about it, when people get so used to the fact that if there's an issue when they buy something on eBay or TCG Player, and they threaten you with a negative feedback, which results in you as the seller saying, oh, I'll give you a full refund, you can keep the card, or you can return it for a full refund and I'll give you a free label. It promotes a culture of buyers where they think that's acceptable and they think that's the norm, which then leads to a lot of people, which I have noticed as a seller, threatening negative reviews and wanting free stuff. So many times I'd be like, you could return this if you want a full refund. I'll give you the label. And they'll say, I'm not going to go buy a package so I could ship it back to you. Just give me the full refund. Or some of them are saying, I'm not going to take the time to go ship this out when you made the mistake. You should just give me a full refund. And it's like, it's so bad in my opinion, because it's just not the way to run a business. And dealing with buyers like that can really hurt your business, especially if you're a smaller seller. Like me, if I lose a $5 to $10 sale and I get burned on it, it's whatever, because I'm making so much more sales. That $5 loss is not going to crush my business. But if you're just starting off and you have maybe $100 worth of cards and you run into someone like that, you're screwed. You just lost a much bigger percentage of your inventory from someone that's so used to these bigger sellers taking advantage of feedback manipulation. And I want to do a little something new here and say that today's video is sponsored by TCG Automate, which is a tool that you can upload images of your cards and the AI will recognize them, generate all of the eBay listings for you, and then you could list it directly to eBay in seconds, and you could do up to 1,000 cards per hour, and it prices the cards for you, generates the titles and the item specifics, so it makes it a whole lot easier to list your cards to eBay. So check that out if you sell on eBay, whatnot, and Shopify, and the link is in the bio. And the other part about this that bothers me is the fact that people think if you don't have 100% feedback, then you're a bad seller, or you failed in some way, or it's unacceptable to have. And I'm talking about sellers, not buyers, because personally I have 98.8% feedback and it's gone down. It used to be 99.8, but it went down a percentage because a lot of newer buyers in the hobby and people expecting PSA 10s from a near mint card and a bunch of weird stuff like that. But I have 98.8% feedback and I've sold 105,000 cards on eBay. And then there's a lot of people that I talk to with 1,000 sales on eBay, and they are so concerned about sticking with that 100% feedback. And anytime they have an issue with a buyer, it ruins their day, and they think they can't recover from it, or just a bunch of negative stuff, and then they spiral with that thought. And if you think about it in a way, just try to think about anything in your life that you do 100% well and never had a negative experience with. And try to think, okay, can I replicate that on eBay? Obviously, you can't. Things are going to go wrong. Things are going to be out of your control. You're going to run into bad people, and a bunch of anything bad could happen. And the fact that a lot of sellers get so caught up on maintaining this perfect image or getting pissed off with a buyer when there's a bad scenario or bad feedback, it's bad business in my opinion. And before people make comments about the little nuances, I want to clarify. Yes, there are bad people that take advantage and try to scam you on eBay and will leave a negative review if there's nothing actually wrong. They're just frustrated or those stuff. I definitely understand why it can bother you. Wanting to make sure that buyers have a good experience and feeling that making it right for them will incentivize a good feedback rather than a negative one. Sure, I can understand that. But I just want to emphasize how bad it is to get so caught up on wanting to have that perfect feedback and then hurting other sellers indirectly to get to that level. And do I think striving for good feedback is important? Yes, I absolutely think you should try to have great feedback. At least, probably, I don't even want to say a number because I don't really understand it too well. If a 95% is better than a much better than a 90%, I don't know the significance there, but yes, you should try to have good feedback. And then the last thing I want to talk about the feedback is you should learn from it. A lot of people see the feedback and they get so blinded by their frustration, or they get so quick to accuse and get defensive about things, but they don't look at it in a way that's like, oh, I messed up on this issue. How can I fix it for the future? One example with me is that it's honestly, I don't even know why I was doing this, but I used to ship 5 to 10 cards in a sleeve, which is very bad. And I was doing it to save money on sleeves and to save time individually sleeving all the cards. So that was bad. I was doing it for that purpose, which was a little bit lazy and selfish, or not selfish, but just being very penny pinching, I guess. And I got a few negative feedbacks from that. And they said, this seller stuffs 5 cards in a sleeve. And at first I was like, it's just one person. I've done it 1,000 times. One complaint is whatever. Then it happened 2 to 3 times more. And I was like, this is an issue and I need to fix this. So what I did instead is I just sleeved them all individually and I never got a complaint about that again. And that's just one example. You could probably use this example for anything in your business. Some people might complain that you don't package it well enough. You over package it. I've seen some videos where they tape every single inch of a card, the top loader and the cardboard around it. So you have to be very careful when you're trying to get the card out without cutting it. And stuff like that is just bad. And people will complain about that. So instead of saying, oh, I did this so many times and only one person's complained about it, that's not really true because only one person has complained about it on eBay. Some people might receive their card and get bothered with the way it was shipped or how you handled things or how long you took to ship it, but they won't say anything. They just won't buy from you again. And I think people don't understand that, and they think that as long as nobody said anything, then it's fine, which is not really the case because not everyone has the time or cares enough to go on eBay and write a feedback. I know I personally don't, unless it's a really bad experience. I would not write a feedback when I buy from someone because it takes them too much time, honestly, for me. Or maybe I'm just lazy, I don't know. And on the flip side of this, it's also very important to learn from your good feedback too and reiterate on them, keep doing it. Because one thing I got after I stopped stuffing cards in sleeves, one good feedback that I've always had is this seller shipped his cards very well and shipped it very fast. And that's something that I take pride on and I really try to maintain. Now, are there times where I'll ship slow and something comes up, I have to ship a day late? Yes, that happens, but Very rarely does it happen. And I think if you learn from your feedback rather than just getting frustrated with it and trying to hide it or do things that can get it removed, you will become a lot better of a seller. And I think trying to focus so much on these 1 to 2 negative feedbacks a month, like calling customer service, trying to deal with the buyer, refund them, and make sure they're super happy even though they tried to take advantage of you, that's only going to hold you back, and it's not going to do you any good in the long run. It may be a little percentage better, but nothing significant. And I think especially with this new eBay thing, it's going to reward a lot of the legit sellers that don't bend over backwards for the buyers that try to take advantage. And I'm actually very hopeful about this because I was sick of, or I am still sick of it, when people would buy from you and expect give me a free card, otherwise I'll give you negative feedback. It shouldn't be a common thing, and it should not be expected. Thank you all for watching this video. Let me know what you guys think about this new eBay policy and what your thoughts are on feedback, because I know it's a very controversial and sensitive topic with a lot of sellers. So I'm curious to see what you guys think. But yeah, I'll see you all in the next video.